After a deep conflict with Alpha Asher, Genevieve discovers her wolf has vanished, leaving her merely human. Asher claims he loves her and has come to save her, but can Genevieve trust the one who hurt her so deeply? How will she face her new reality without supernatural abilities? Join our pack. Subscribe to start your adventure. Chapter 20, 1 Asher. I removed all of his alpha rights and privileges. Ryan informed me. I caught him last night, and he ran over to my territory with some of his men, including Scott, the guard at the castle. This morning, Ryan sent out his own trackers. Then we talked about Jacobs. I told Brian, Drive, Nail, Ryan, and Ryan's men everything that I know. So what happened to the packs? All pack members are now rogues, he responded. Do you know where any of them are now? Ryan shook his head. They all just disappeared. The council didn't hear about any rogues on other pack territories. I assumed that they stayed on neutral land. They didn't bother any packs. Why would they take Eve now? I questioned. Because her parents are dead. Ryan sighed. Took a group of wolves together, and they attacked the castle while Eve and I were here. How do you know that it was Jacobs? Brian asked. We have one of the rogues in custody, Ryan announced. He told you about Jacob's drive. Nail questioned. Ryan nodded. We didn't have to question him. We went to his cell and he just told us everything. He wanted you to know Drive. Nail stated. He wants the royal pack to come after him. He wants you to come after him. He wants revenge. To my agent extraordinaire, mythical Noban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Drive, Nail, and Ryan both shook their heads. He wants to kill me, Ryan said. It's not about revenge. He just wants a pack. He wants power. If he kills me, then he'll get the pack. Eve could lead Jacobs to Ryan. I know for a fact that she would never put Ryan in danger. But I also know that Ryan would do anything to bring her back. So he took Eve for like motivation. Maybe. Maybe not. Drive, Nail answered. He could do two things with her. Use her to get to Alpha Ryan. Or he could kill her. Since she's the last heir, he could take over the castle. It's impossible to predict what he's gonna do. But what about Matthew? Isn't he like the second heir? I questioned. Ryan shrugged. Technically, yes. He is the second heir, but he cannot rule the castle. He hasn't even developed his wolf. What do we do now? Brian asked. I answered the question for once. We're taking a trip to the castle. I'm gonna interrogate that rogue. Genevieve, I'm trying. I shouted at the Alpha and Beta. Try harder at Alpha, Jacobs growled. We've been doing this for hours. I don't know what time it is, but it's been at least 5 hours. They want me to mind, link Ryan, but Ingrid isn't responding. I can't hear her, just like last time. Whenever Asher was with the red head, Ingrid stopped talking to me. Like she would disappear for a few hours. This isn't working. You just need a little motivation. Beta Hefner picked up the brown-haired girl and held his fist up to her face. I got as close to the bars as I could without touching it. Don't hurt her, I begged. My mind isn't gonna work for a while. I swear that I'm trying. I just need some time. Why isn't it working? Alpha Jacobs asked. The silver cage still allows you to mind, Link. You just can't shift. It's not the cage. To my agent extraordinaire, mythical Noban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. It's my wolf. She's weak. To my agent extraordinaire, mythical Noban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Get the Dr. Alpha, Jacobs demanded. Eric nodded and left. I don't need a doctor. My wolf will be back in an hour or so. Well, I don't like waiting. Alfred Jacobs informed me. I rolled my eyes and sat on the bed. What's wrong with the stupid mutt? To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I sighed and chose to ignore the insult. My idiot mate kissed someone in front of me and you're not dead, he questioned bluntly. I sure wish that I died. This just sucks. Maybe I could stop all the feelings. Stop all the pain. Every supernatural creature has the power to shut everything off. I didn't do it before, but now it seems pretty reasonable to turn them off. To turn my emotions off. I tightly shut my eyes and flipped the switch in my brain. I felt everything lifting off my chest. I didn't care about anything anymore. Well, obviously not. Dumb earth. Jacob chuckled. You're not as I thought. Before I had a chance to reply, Hefner came back in with the doctor. Hefner demanded. What's the problem? The doctor asked. Jacob's motioned for me to answer. My wolf is dying, I replied nonchalantly. The doctor raised an eyebrow at me. Why? He inquired slowly. Her mate doesn't want her, Jacobs answered. I nodded in agreement. Well, I can't actually fix her wolf. It is inside of her. She would need to shift for me to run tests on her wolf, the doctor informed us. You don't need to run tests. She comes back in a few hours, I said matter-of-factly. This has happened before, the doctor questioned. I nodded. Whatever my mates with his slut, I showed no emotion in my voice. The men looked at me like I grew 10 more heads. I smiled and sat on the bed. She's being more blunt than usual, Hefner mused. I clapped and mock praised him. Good observations, mister. Hefner. It's Beta Hefner. He huffed. The doctor muttered out a curse. What? Jacobs asked. She turned her emotions off, the doctor stated. I pointed at him and touched the tip of my nose with my finger. Ding. 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 I started laughing to myself. Jacobs rolled his eyes at me and turned to the doctor. Make her turn it back on. I can't make her turn it back on. She can't even turn it back on. The doctor explained. You just have to make her feel an emotion, then it turns the other ones on. I got this, Hefner stated and pulled the brown-haired girl up. Is guilt an emotion? The doctor nodded and Hefner pushed the girl onto the cell. She screamed while her skin burned. I just watched the scene from my bed. For some reason, I didn't even feel anything. I should have felt bad for a pack member being hurt, but I didn't feel any remorse. Jacobs and the doctor both stood behind Hefner and watched. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. The girl shrieked. Hefner gently pried her off the cell. The girl punched him in the gut and he bent over, clutching his stomach. She obviously doesn't care. Did you have to keep burning me? She snapped. Sorry, Caitlin, Hefner wheezed. You better be sorry. I agreed to let you smack me around, but not burn me on the fucking cell. The girl, Caitlin, to my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I raised an eyebrow. So you're with them? I questioned. Caitlin nodded. That explains why I didn't feel remorse. For a queen, you're pretty slow. For a werewolf, you're pretty weak. I mocked. Her emotions are definitely gone, Hefner stated. I rolled my eyes and looked at Caitlin. Why are you with these idiots? She shrugged. I was a rogue. They protected me. They just burned you on a silver cell, I replied monotonous. Caitlin thought about it before shrugging again. It healed well. I scoffed and laid down on the bed. I stared at the ceiling that was also concrete. There was a long crack that started at the wall and ended at about the middle of my cell. I put my index finger in the air. I started tracing the crack. Turn on your damn emotions, Jacobs demanded. I shook my head and gave him the finger. How long until her wolf comes back? Caitlin asked the doctor. He pointed at me. She said a few hours. What do we do when the mutt is back? Hefner questioned. She doesn't have emotions, so she won't care about what happens. We get her emotions back, Jacob stated. Trigger any and every emotion. Chapter 20 to Asher. We got to the castle around for Pete. Meet has almost been 24 hours since Eve was taken. Ryan lead us through the castle and out a back door. Me, Brian, drive. Nail, Scott, and 3 other guards followed Ryan to a 2-story building. We walked inside, and it had the setup of a prison. There were guards by a gate that separated the front room and the prisoners. Ryan told us that the cells are on the 1st floor, 2nd floor, and the basement. There are also about 1 guard inside the prison, but only about 20 prisoners. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilgan, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. The guard at the front desk greeted. Visiting the rogue again, yes. These men are coming with me. Ryan motioned at us. The guard nodded and pressed a button. The speaker in the corner made a buzzing noise. Then the gate that leads to prisoners opened. We followed Ryan to the basement. All the silver cells in the basement were empty except the one at the very end. Hello, Alpha Hayes. The rogue greeted Ryan. I see you brought some friends. He nodded towards us. Where's Jacobs? The rogue studied me. I know her. And you are? Really? He wants me to introduce myself. Alpha Reed? To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Noah nodded. Where's Thomas Jacobs? I repeated my question. 7,490 to Windward Drive, Noah stated. He's been living with mundaneness. How many wolves are there? Brian asked. All of Crescent Moon stayed, and he recruited rogues. Well, this is surprisingly easy. Why are you telling us this? Ryan questioned. Noah shrugged. The faster you get to him, the sooner I escape. It depends on whether or not you are able to kill him drive. Nail, Scott, and the other guards have been silent the whole time. Scott and the guards looked bored. But Drive, Nail looked deep in thought. He was studying Noah. Just staring at him. Are you naturally sadistic? Or did you turn them off? Drive, Nail asked Noah. Noah's head snapped towards the doctor. Who are you? He questioned with creased eyebrows. I'm Drive, Chris Nail. You are a very observant doctor. Noah noted. I turned them off. What did he turn off? I voiced my thoughts. Drive Nail opened his mouth, but Noah beat him to it. I turned off my emotions. What the hell does that mean? Brian and I asked in unison. Sighing, Drive Nail turned to us. Your parents didn't want you to know about this, Drive Nail said. But all supernatural beings have the power to turn off their emotions. They stop feeling. They don't feel anything, Brian asked. Drive Nail nodded. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. No emotions. They can physically feel things. They just don't connect emotionally, Drive Nail elaborated. Is your learning lesson over yet? No, Wind. I badly want to punch him in the face right now. Come on. I think we're done here, Ryan said. We nodded and followed him out of prison. We went back to the castle and called a meeting in Ryan's office. I linked my pack and told them to come to the castle. The royal pack came into the office and sat down. We know where Genevieve is being held. Ryan started. I need everyone to come with us. We have been informed that the man who took our princess has been working with rogues. The pack started growling and Ryan told them to be quiet. We are going to war. We need to get the princess back, he declared. People nodded in agreement. What's the plan? A voice shouted. We have a location. It is with the humans, so no one can shift. We kill those who took her, and save the princess, Ryan announced. My pack came through the office doors and stood behind Ryan's pack. I stepped forward and addressed the crowd. I am Alpha Asher Reed of the Blue Moon Pack. I gestured to my pack. Princess Genevieve is my mate. My pack will fight along with the royal pack to bring her back. Cheers erupted and a few people bowed down to me. Sean stood on a chair and shouted. Let's go get our princess. Genevieve, your father didn't even put up a fight. Jacob scoffed. After I ripped your mother's heart out, he was just waiting for me to kill him. He practically begged me to. I yawned. Is story time over yet? I'm tired. Jacobs, Hefner, and Caitlin have been talking to me for at least hours. They insulted me. They told me about everyone they killed trying to get to me. Now Jacobs was going on and on about how he killed my parents. This isn't working. Hefner shouted. That bitch is colder than ice. To my agent extraordinaire, Mylan Nobel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I'm kinda hot. Do you have like a fan or something? Caitlin sighed and threw her hands up. I'm done. This is getting nowhere. I pointed at her with a smile. That girl is one smart cookie. Caitlin walked out the room while Jacobs and Hefner rolled their eyes at me. She doesn't give a shit about what we call her. She doesn't care about her parents' death. There's nothing that gets to her. We haven't hit a nerve, Hefner said, frustrated. Jacobs gasped. I know what we can do. He walked closer to the cage and stared at me. Is your plan to be a perv and stare at me all night? It's like 5p, Hefner stated. I rolled my eyes. Well, I didn't know that. There's not a clock in this fucking cell. There's not a clock in this fucking cell. Hefner childishly mocked me. You're an idiot. Your IDI, would you shut up? Jacobs cut off his immature beta. I laid down on the bed and stared at the ceiling. About an hour ago, water started dripping from the crack. It lands in a small puddle next to my bed. I guess that my cell is under a bathroom. But I'd rather not think about that. That is highly unsanitary. What's your mate's name? Jacobs asked randomly. Asher Reed. And he's my ex-mate. I corrected him. Jacobs dismissed my comment with a wave. Why isn't Asher here? He questioned. Why don't you go ask him? He's Alpha of the Blue Moon Pack. I informed Jacobs. Jacobs nodded. I know who he is. Shouldn't he be coming to rescue his precious little mate? He's not my mate. And he's probably lip-locking with his red-head slut. Jacob shook his head. They're not lip-locking. They're howling. The lunar ceremony is tonight. I'm sure they will be very happy together, Hefner commented. They're not supposed to be together. He's my mate. We were made for each other. He shouldn't be with her. I ranted. You said it yourself, he's not your mate. Jacob stated. He rejected you. He didn't, and still doesn't, want you. I shook my head. He said he wanted me. I argued. Hefner chuckled. He lied to you. And you were just nervy enough to believe him. He said he needed me. He despises you. Jacobs hissed. I shot out of the bed and ran to the cell bars. I leaned on the cage and reached through the bars. I grabbed Jacobs and pulled him onto the cell. He let out a loud scream as he burned. Hefner pulled his Alpha out of my grip, but I stretched my arms out trying to grab him again. Jacobs healed quickly since he wasn't burned very badly. What the hell? Hefner said slowly as him and Jacobs stared at me with confused expressions. How are you doing that? Jacobs asked. I pulled my arms back into the cell and rested my hands on the bars. Doing what? Hefner motioned to me. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I rolled my eyes. A little more specific. Dumb ass. You're touching the cage, Jacobs yelled. I looked down at my hands that were in fact touching the bars. The bars that were silver. The bars that should be burning me. What the hell? I whispered. About 20 minutes later, the door opened and the doctor came into the room. What the hell? He mumbled as he looked at my hands that clutched the silver bars. How is she doing that? Jacobs asked. The doctor reached out and touched the bar that I was holding. His finger sizzled, and he winced. The bars should be burning her. Is it because she doesn't have emotions? Hefner asked. The doctor stared at me and shook his head. She doesn't have a wolf. Chapter 23. Genevieve, what are you talking about? I questioned the doctor. The doctor took a step away from the cage. Your wolf. She isn't there. How isn't her wolf there? Wolves don't just disappear, Jacob stated. They don't disappear, but they can die, the doctor informed us. Ingrid died. I didn't feel anything. I should have felt if she died, but I didn't even feel her before she died. I don't even know when she died. My eyes widened. She died. How did she die? Your mate, Jacob said. You survived. But naturally, wolves have a stronger connection with their mates. She died because the connection was stronger to her, he explained. Every time that your mate hurt you, it was worst for your wolf. She died, but somehow, you survived, the doctor added. Asher killed my wolf. My mate killed a part of me. Half of me is missing. He completely changed me. I don't have a wolf. So I'm not a werewolf anymore. I questioned. The doctor shook his head. Without a wolf, you can't shift. You don't have extra strength or enhanced senses. You're human. I let go of the cell bars and sat crisscross on the bed. How could Ingrid die? But I didn't feel anything. Will her emotions come back? Hefner asked the doctor. I have no idea. I never heard of a wolf dying while the host's emotions were off, the doctor stated. Do you feel anything? Jacobs asked me. I really fucking hate my mate. Does that count? I said coldly. The doctor sighed. Hatred and anger are the two feelings that werewolves feel after they turn off their emotions. They turn sadistic. They live off of negativity because that's all they feel. Jacobs thanked the doctor, then told Hefner and the doctor to leave. We sat, I sat. He stood in silence. I played with my fingers for almost an hour before he spoke. My men said that Alpha Hayes is coming to get you. Jacobs informed me. I nodded in response. Reed and his pack are going with him. My head snapped up and I looked at Jacobs. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. As an usher, my mate, I questioned. They should actually be here soon. What's today? It's Sunday, Jacobs told me. I raised an eyebrow. Why are you so calm? Shouldn't you be like preparing or something? I mused. Jacobs shook his head. Ryan isn't gonna kill me, he stated confidently. I'm pretty sure the first thing he'll do is kill you. Jacobs chuckled. He can't kill me. Are you immortal? I questioned. Nope. I'm just the only person who knows where his mate is. You took Jordan, I said slowly. Jacobs nodded. I didn't take the baby though. I'm not that cruel. I rolled my eyes at him. You're cruel enough to tie up a 6-year-old and take someone's mate. I didn't hurt your little brother. And your mate was busy when I took you. Jordan's mate was busy when I took her. These alphas really need to keep a better eye on their mates, Jacob stated. I nodded in agreement. So are you just gonna let them capture you? I questioned. I plan on killing at least one person. Who? I don't know. Just whoever's there, Jacob said. It won't be Asher or Ryan though. You're just gonna kill a random person. I don't want it all bloody though. Maybe I'll snap someone's neck. Or pull off their head. I'm pretty sure that if you pull off someone's head, there will be a lot of blood. But it's a fast kill. I just have to make sure I don't get it on my shirt, Eve. A voice shouted from outside the room. Jacobs grinned. Your heroes have arrived. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. We took about 20 cars to Jacob's house. Some of us ran. We got his house around 8 p.m. It's Sunday. I don't know why there was so much traffic. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. We scattered the cars around the neighborhood and met in front of his house. Everyone was in human form, so we wouldn't scare any mundaneness. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Scott. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. And Owen are going with me to find Eve, Ryan announced. Kill anyone who tries to fight. Mind, link one of us if something goes wrong. There are medics close by. If anyone gets injured, bring them outside. The warriors nodded and we ran through the front door. Sean started shouting Eve's name. Come on, let's check the basement, Scott said. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Owen and Ryan split up to look around. I rushed past fights and dead bodies. I found the door to the basement and went down the stairs. There were cells, but all of them were empty. I sniffed the air. She wasn't in here, I told Scott. We went back upstairs. Ed Wirch arched at me. Scott tackled him and told me to find Eve. I ran through the whole house. I took out a few wolves that came after me, but other than that, I moved quickly. After checking the house, I went in the backyard. There was a large pool, and a pool house. I pushed open the doors of the pool house and saw Sean. I can smell her, Sean said as he continued to sniff. Eve, he shouted. I smelt the air. Her scent was slightly different, but it was her. There was also another scent. I walked around the pool house and knocked on the walls, trying to find a hollow wall. There were no hidden doors. Eve, Sean shouted again. I walked out the pool house and looked around the pool. There was no place for any hidden doors outside. I looked in the pool and noticed small bubbles floating to the top. There was a crack at the bottom of the pool. The bubbles continued to form and pop when they reached the surface. Kind of like when you breathe underwater. I ran back into the pool house and started stomping on the floor. What are you doing? Sean questioned. I continued to hit the floor. I hit a spot under a rug and heard a clank. I kicked the rug and saw a wooden door. Found it, I exclaimed. I pulled open the door and climbed down the ladder. Sean followed me down and we walked through a narrow hallway. There was only one door at the very end. She's here, Sean commented. I kicked the door down to reveal another room of cages. There was a mount standing in front of a cell. Sean yelled. I followed his line of vision and saw my mate laying on a bed. I found keys on the wall and I quickly grabbed them. I unlocked the cell and used my shirt to cover my hand while opening the door. Hey Sean, Eve greeted him while sitting up in the bed. Are you okay? Sean asked while walking into the cell. Just peachy, she replied. That's Jacob's. She pointed to the man behind me. I turned around and pushed him backwards so he hit a cell. The silver bars burned him. I quickly walked over to him and lifted him off the ground. Don't kill him, Eve demanded. What? Sean and I blurted in unison. He kidnapped her and now she said not to kill him. These people brainwashed him. We need him. He'll explain it later, Eve said while walking out the cell. Now, where's the doctor? He doesn't need a doctor. I barely burned him. Eve rolled her eyes at me and turned to Sean. I need to see a doctor. I dropped Jacobs and walked towards Eve. I searched her body for any injuries. What's wrong? Where are you hurt? She pushed my hands off of her and slightly shoved me away. Can you take me to a doctor? She asked Sean. Sure. Let's go. Sean walked past her and led her to the door while glancing back at me. Can you walk any slower? Eve exclaimed. Sean sped up and they disappeared out the door. I stared at the door in shock. Why is she acting like this? I must have said it out loud because Jacob spoke. She turned off her emotions. What the hell did you do to her? There has to be a reason why she would want to stop feeling. Eve wouldn't do something like that. Jacob smirked at me and stood up. That's rich. You think that I did something? He chuckled. You killed that poor girl. What are you talking about? She just left. She's obviously not dead. He rolled his eyes at me. You almost killed her. I glared at him, but he continued. Her exact words were, my idiot mate kissed someone in front of me. He actually looks sad and sympathetic. I felt a pang of guilt and regret. I hurt her. I messed up. Dad, I made her stop wanting to feel anything. She didn't care about feeling happiness or love. She wanted to take away all the pain that I caused her. It's been a month since we've known each other, and I basically broke her. When did she turn it off? I asked Jacobs. Yesterday. We told her to mind, link Alpha Hayes, but her mutt wasn't responding. Then she told us all about you and your red-head slut. He snapped angrily. Before I have the chance to reply, Ryan burst into the room. Where's she? Ryan shouted. Jacob's sympathy disappeared and he smirked. She's fine. She's not dead yet. If you touch one strand on her head, I swear I'll skin you with a silver blade. Ryan growled. Who are you talking about? I questioned. Is Eve okay? He took Jordan. Ryan yelled how. Jordan was back at the castle. She was supposed to be safe with the guards that we assigned to protect her and Elise. What about Elise? Jacobs rolled his eyes. The baby is fine. I can't say the same about the guards that you left. Where's my mate? Ryan roared. Jacob's teeth scared Ryan and shook his head. You should be nicer to the man who's your mate's life in his hands. He mused. Ryan took deep breaths to calm himself. He was about to say something, but Jacob spoke. Please leave. I would like to speak to Alpha Reed, he said in a professional tone. Ryan gave me a questioning glance. I shrugged and looked at Jacobs. Alpha Hayes, Jacob said and motioned to the door. Ryan let out a low growl and stormed out the room. The things alphas do for their mates. Why do you want to speak to me? I voiced my thoughts. I wasn't worried about him hurting me. For some reason, he didn't want to. We only spoke a few sentences, but he let off this vibe that he didn't want to hurt me. He was sympathetic. It was almost like he wanted to help me. It's about Eve. She probably won't tell you this because she hates you. But you need to know, he said softly. I ignored the pain from knowing that my mate hates me, but I also know that I deserve that hate. I rejected her. I slept with Wendy. I kissed Wendy. I kissed Wendy in front of Eve. Flashback. Eve and I were in my office talking about random things. She just started telling me a story about Jordan and Ryan. so he went to the bathroom. But Jordan really had to pee. And she's pregnant, so she needs to pee like every 5 minutes. Ryan wouldn't open the door, so she broke it down. He growled at her and she knocked him out. You've giggled. I chuckled. Just so she could pee. I noted. Eve laughed. Pregnant she, wolves are crass. The door swung open and hit the wall, cutting off Eve. Baby, Wendy shrieked. She walked over to me, adding more sway to her hips. She sat on my lap and kissed me. We were in that position for maybe 2 seconds, when someone cleared their throat. We both pulled away and I saw Eve. I fucked up. Again. Sean will probably kill me when he finds out. I did give him permission to beat the crap out of me. Shit, I thought to myself. Eve didn't look in pain though. She had on a blank face. Wendy just noticed that my mate was in the room. Hello. I'm Luna, Wendy Kira. Luna? She is not my Luna. Eve is supposed to be Luna. The ceremony is for my mate. I don't want Wendy anymore. I only want Eve. I opened my mouth to say something, but I couldn't get the words out fast enough. I watched silently as Wendy and Eve shook hands. Princess Genevieve Burke. Eve introduced herself. Wendy froze and bowed her head. I apologize for interrupting your meeting. Princess. Oh no. Eve shook her head. Don't apologize. We're done. She got up and walked out the room. Gavin, my wolf, growled at me, then disappeared. Anyone who knew we are mates would know what that means. She will reject me. She just didn't want to do it in front of Wendy. Is the princess coming to my ceremony? Wendy asked excitedly. I pushed her off my lap and stood up. You are not Luna, I stated calmly. What are you talking about? Wendy asked. Everyone has been talking about the Luna ceremony. Tomorrow, I'll officially be Luna. Right. I shook my head. I'm sorry, Wendy. I really am. I found my mate. The ceremony is for her. Wendy was beyond angry. Her breaths were deep. I'm supposed to be Luna. Mate or not. You said that I would be a perfect Luna. You said that we would be together. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. You are not Luna. I shouted with my alpha voice. You were not destined to be Luna of this pack. My mate is. Please leave, I said calmly. Wendy stormed out the room and slammed the door behind her. I took deep breaths before leaving my office. I walked upstairs and went to Eve's bedroom. I tried the knob, but it was locked. I heard her steady heartbeat, along with Matthew's. I slowly walked to my bedroom and closed the door. End of flashback. What do I need to know? I questioned Jacobs. I don't know exactly what happened, but I do know that it has something to do with you. Her wolf died. I saw no signs of him lying. Just complete honesty. A wolf just can't die. Right. I wondered. Jacob shook his head. Wolves have a stronger connection to their mates. Whatever you did to that girl, her wolf felt it 10 times worse. But wouldn't Eve die without her wolf? No, the girl is strong, he said with a smile. She fought. I'm surprised that she didn't turn off her emotions soon. Her emotions, I exclaimed. She turned them off. What happens to them now? Only supernaturals can turn off their emotions, but she no longer a supernatural. She's practically human. I wish I knew, he said sadly. This is the most emotionless that I've ever seen Alpha show. She needs you. She might not have emotions or a wolf, so she won't feel the connection anymore. She'll be angry at you all the time. She'll hate you, but she needs you. I sighed and ran my hand down my face. Why are you telling me this? I know that I fucked up with my mate. I killed her and my unborn child. But I really loved both of them. My father forced me into mating with Colleen, the other Alpha, he said quietly. I narrowed my eyes at him. Your father didn't sink your teeth into her. I did, turned. He told me that Sarah, my mate, left. He said that she ran away with Colin's mate. We acted on anger, and we killed our mates. I would change everything if I could, Jacobs explained. I tried explaining that to the council in Ulfahaze, but they wouldn't let me explain. They just cared that I killed a baby and my mate. What we did wasn't okay. But I didn't mean to hurt her. I silently listened to everything that he said because he actually sounded genuine. He was showing my emotion. You aren't that different. We both hurt our mates. But you still have a chance to fix it. It'll take time. A lot of time. But it would be worth it, he said softly. I don't understand. You killed the Queen and King, and you took Jordan. Why, how would that help you? It doesn't bring Sarah back. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing Kishut's enthusiasm. I was just trying to get someone to kill me. I didn't want to live knowing that I killed my own mate, so I attacked the castle. But no one got to me. No one killed me, so I left. I took Eve, knowing that if I took the air, people would come after me. But when Eve got here, and I found out about you, I didn't want to die. I wanted to help her. She reminded me so much of Sarah, the way that she cared about others. She's smart. And she has some amazing threats. He chuckled. She threatened you. Let's just say that it involved a greater. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing Kishut's enthusiasm. And Wolfsbane, he replied. So why did you take Jordan? I questioned, still confused. I knew that since I killed the king and queen and I kidnapped the princess, people would kill me, no questions asked. But I don't want to die, so I needed leverage. I'm not gonna hurt Jordan. I just need to make a deal with Alpha Hayes, Jacobs explained. I hummed in understanding. What deal do you plan on making? I know that this is a long shot. But I want them to let me and a few of my men live. We want to help guard the castle. I couldn't help it. I left. Sorry. I apologized. Jacobs rolled his eyes at me. I want to help Eve. I know it'll take time for everyone to trust us, and I'm willing to wait. I'll give Jordan back. I just want a second chance. I nodded. I understand why you did all of this. And if it comes down to it, I'll vouch for you, I told him honestly. A blind person could see that Jacobs regretted what he did. He wants to make up for it. I guess helping Eve makes him feel better because in his mind, helping Eve is like helping Sarah. Jacob's eyes glazed over. Then he chuckled. My men just told me that Jordan forced them to watch The Notebook. They're watching a movie right now. I questioned. He chuckled and nodded. We should talk to Ryan soon. That movie is over 2 hours long. The sooner we talk to him, the sooner my men are saved from watching that chick flick. We both laughed and walked out the room. Chapter 20 for Genevieve. I followed Sean up the ladder. We ended up in a pool house. The water in my cell must have been coming from the pool. We walked through the house. People bowed their heads at me and I nodded at them. Sean led me outside into a van. You must be Princess Genevieve. A man greeted us. I nodded and Sean spoke. She needs to see a doctor. The Mart scanned my body, looking for visible injuries. You are not physically hurt. Why do you feel the need to receive medical attention? He inquired. Are you a doctor? I questioned. The man nodded. A mental and physical doctor. I am part of the Blue Moon Pack. I am Drive. Nail. The doctor that saw me in my cell. He said that my wolf died. I explained. What do you mean she died? Both men waited for my answer. Well, my mate is an asshole. He almost killed me. Now he killed my wolf. I stated calmly. He killed your wolf. Sean growled. That's what the doctor said. Why does he think your wolf died, Drive? Neil questioned. I was able to touch the silver bars in my cell. I didn't get burned. And I haven't heard from Ingrid, my wolf, since I got here. I explained, Drive. Neil nodded and turned to Sean. Can you go get Alpha Reed for me? Sean nodded and started to walk away, but I blocked his path. I don't want Alpha Reed here. I stated as calm as possible. You need your ma. That bastard is not my mate. Cutting off the doctor. Eve, Sean said softly. He makes you stronger. You need that strength from him. I growled at my best friend. He cheated 3 times. I had to feel that pain 3 times. And the 3rd time actually killed a part of me. He killed my wolf. Sean. He hurt me too much. That guy is not my mate. I thought my best friend would have agreed with me. Drive Nail spoke softly with sympathy. Princess, you can't change who your mate is. Asher screwed up. Big time. But he came here to save you. He came here to be a hero. He came here 'cause he felt bad for me. He felt guilty. None of this changes anything. Asher rejected me. He blamed me for having to go, though the pain of him being with Wendy. He put me in a coma, but right after I wake up he leaves. He left to give you time, Sean interrupted me. He left to be with Wendy. Then he came back and apologized, and being the Novi Cursal I am, I gave him another chance. Then he takes me to meet his pack, but he has Wendy lined up to be Luna. He didn't find his mate when he was younger. Wendy was a replacement, Drive Nail stated. I rolled my eyes. I don't care if she was a replacement. But the fact that she is, like currently, still a replacement. The pain of knowing that my mate replaced me in every way possible was unbearable. Mail asked. I nodded. I don't feel it anymore. I don't feel anything. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Noban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Both men stared at me in confusion, causing me to roll my eyes. I turned off my emotions. I explained. I thought doctors were smart. It hurts so much that you turn off your emotions. You wanted to stop feeling everything just because of the pain. Sean questioned. You didn't feel it. It hurt more than anything I have ever felt. I explained. What hurts more is that it's my mate's fault. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Noban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I walked to the front yard and saw Eve talking with Drive. Maid and Sean. While walking to the main house, I decided that I would be there for Eve. Not just because we're mates, but because I know this is all my fault. I hurt her a lot, so much that she turned off her emotions. She stopped feeling because I put her through pain, and that pain killed her wolf. Whatever happens doesn't matter to me. I just want Eve back. The giggling, happy girl that was in my office 2 days ago. I won't know. I need to get her emotions back. From what Drive? Mail explained. People who turned off their emotions only feel hate. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Noban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. All that hate is directed to me. The only way to stop the hate and bring back the rest of the emotions is to make her love me. I'll have her fall in love with me. It'll take time, just like Jacob said, but she needs to feel. I know this girl isn't Eve. This isn't the girl I fell in love with. Yes, I love her. I've been in love with her, and I will do anything to make her at least be able to tolerate me. I move closer to hear Eve, Sean, and Drive. Nail, my mate's fault. Eve's sentence ended Drive. Nail made eye contact with me for a split second. If it wasn't me who he looked at, I wouldn't be able to see his gaze shift. Alpha Asher didn't mean to hurt you. Drive Nail assured her. He cares about you. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Eve scoffed. He put me in a coma. He killed my wolf. He only comes to my rescue when I'm hurt because he feels guilty. Don't you dare lie to me and say that he cares. Well, that stings. If only she knew how much I actually care. I never wanted her to be in pain. I didn't know that she would be in pain. Not because she's angry at me, but because most of what she's saying is true. I went to the castle because Sean said she needed my help. I left, then kissed Wendy, but I went back to the castle the same day. When I kissed Wendy in front of Eve, I went to her room because I knew that I hurt her. I went looking for her because I knew none of this would have happened if I wasn't so attached. I had already explained everything to Drive. Nail. He said that Wendy and I were each other's support mechanism. We were together when our parents died, and we became each other's stability. But that only resulted in my relationship with my mate being screwed up to the max. Every time that I hurt Eve, I knew what I did, and I did feel guilty. But that's not the only reason that I keep coming back after I hurt her. I'm fighting for her. I want her back. I know that I messed up a lot of times, but it's never gonna stop me. I'll keep making mistakes, but I'll never stop coming back for my mate. He does care, Sean insisted. You just don't feel it. I don't want to feel it, Eve shouted. I feel everything, all the pain and the little sparks of happiness, or I feel nothing. And I'd rather feel nothing than go through that pain again. Leave. I ordered my pack members through the mind, Link. They all went to the backyard. Leaving me. Jacobs, Drive Nail, Sean, and Eve. So you don't want to feel love. The love that only your mate can give you. The love that you have with Asher. Sean inquired. I can't feel it, Eve said quietly. Sean took a step closer to my mate. Just let it in. You might have to go through the pain, but you're not alone. Eve shook her head and backed away from her best friend. I don't want to turn it on. Why not? Sean questioned softly. 'Cause everything will come back. Every feeling. Sean. The guilt. The jealousy. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. The regret. Everything. The pain. Eve took a deep breath. And it's not one at a time anymore. When I turn it on, it's all just gonna hit me. All at once. I can't handle that. We'll all be here. Eve, I said, making my presence known. She turned around and glared at me. I don't want you here, she snapped. Too bad. 'Cause I'm not going anywhere, I stated defiantly and crossed my arms. Eve scoffed and chuckled dryly. Wasn't it just a few days ago that you promised you wouldn't go anywhere? She asked sarcastically. I was about to argue, but Eve continued to speak. All it took was for Wendy to walk in your office. You forgot that I even existed. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Can you guys give us a minute? I asked while never taking my eyes off of Eve. I heard the guys leave. Then it was just me and Eve. I don't know how the humans slept through all the noise we're making, but none of them came outside. What? Are you gonna explain yourself? Try to justify what you did with a bunch of lies? Eve questioned angrily. I shook my head and took a few steps towards her. There's no explanation that would excuse what I did. I wasn't going to tell her about what Drive. Nail said. I didn't want to add more into this whole mess. You deserve so much better than me, so I'm here. I want to make this right. I want to fix this because I feel guilty. Eve cut me off now. I mean, Yes, I feel guilty, but that's not why I'm here right now. I love you, Eve Genevieve. Did he just? He just said that he loves me. I froze and my face paled. Asher reached out to touch me, but I stepped away from him. I can't be here right now, I stuttered. I spun around and ran as fast as my legs could take me. I sprinted into the forest and ran, far away from my mate. Mate, a voice in my head whispered. Who's this? To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks to your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I thought to the voice. Even without walls, mates can mind, link one another. Go back to Asher, the voice said. It was male, so I knew that it wasn't Ingrid. Now who are you? I questioned the voice. Ingrid needs help. Go back to Asher, the voice pleaded. I stopped running and started panting. She's okay, I asked. Help Ingrid. Go to Asher, the voice demanded and started to fade away. Wait, who are you? To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. The voice was quiet, but responded with one word. Gavin. Who the hell is Gavin? I asked aloud, while turning back around. I don't know who Gavin is, but he knows Ingrid. And he said that she needs help, so she must still be alive. That's all I need to know. I decided not to run back, but too fast to walk. It would give me time to think about what I'm gonna say to Asher. I can't just go back and say nothing. I ran off after he told me that he loves me. But I have to go back. There's a small chance that Ingrid is still alive. I don't know who Gavin is, but he could be lying. Even if the chance of Ingrid being alive is slim, I have to try to get her back. I got back to the neighborhood about 3 or 4 hours after I left. It was around midnight. I spotted the house. Jacobs was out front, talking to Asher, Ryan, and Sean. Most of the cars that I saw earlier were now gone. I slowly made my way over to the group of guys. Evasha exclaimed and ran towards me. I took a few steps back and held one hand up, stopping his movements. What happened? Ryan asked, coming up behind Asher. My mate ignored him and mind linked me. Why'd you run off? He questioned. I need space. I answered quietly. If you wanted space, then why'd you come back? Asher shouted angrily. I glared at him. You don't get to be angry. I didn't do anything wrong. I yelled. I have the right to be mad. My mate thinks I'm an asshole, Lan. I don't think you're an asshole. I know you're an asshole, I corrected. Asher growled at me. You can't be mad at the truth, you. RN. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. If I'm such an asshole, then why'd I come here to help you? He questioned. I'm wondering the same thing. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. No longer angry. I love you. Eve, I came here because I love you. I told you that. And you just ran off. You don't love me. I looked over Asher's shoulder and saw Sean, Ryan, and Jacobs watching our conversation. Well, aren't they just the best? They give us so much privacy. You can't tell me what I do and don't feel. Asher replied. I do love you. I don't care if you don't feel the same way right now, but I know that you can love me. I shook my head. I can't love you. I don't have I know you can't feel anything now. But before all of this, you at least liked me. When we were in my office, you were happy. You can't deny that. I wasn't happy when you started making out with Wendy a foot away from me, I stated bluntly. Asher didn't say anything. He just looked down at his feet. I walked past him and stopped in front of Ryan, Sean, and Jacobs. Who's Gavin? Ryan shrugged. Never heard that name. I looked at Jacobs and he shrugged too. Don't know who that is. Maybe he's in Asher's pack, Sean said. I turned back towards Asher. He was kicking small rocks with his foot. Can you ask him? Please. I don't think I should. I trailed off. Sean nodded and walked to Asher. I looked at Ryan and Jacobs. So you didn't kill him? I asked Ryan. We're good. I don't trust him, but I'm not gonna kill him, Ryan stated. Plus, Jordan's back at the castle making everyone watch some chick flick with her. I simply nodded. What did Gavin say to you? Asher questioned from behind me. You know Gavin. Who is he? Instead of answering his question, he's my wolf, Asher stated. What did he say to you? He repeated. He told me to come back. Asher studied me. Why would you listen to some random voice in your head? He knows Ingrid, my wolf. He said that she needs help, and that I need to go back to you. I said quietly, so she's alive. Sean asked. Can you ask Gavin? Asher nodded and his eyes over. He blinked several times, until his eyes were golden, meaning Gavin was in control. Gavin. How is she? Referring to Ingrid. Very weak, Gavin said sadly. I am very sorry. Asher is a stupid human. I chuckled. Yeah. To my agent extraordinaire, mythical, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I trailed off before going back to an important subject. About Ingrid. Is she gonna be okay? I honestly don't know. Gavin sighed. I don't want to pressure you, but it would be easier for her if your emotions were on. How would that be easier? Wouldn't it just hurt more? I questioned. Gavin shook his head. The positive emotions that you would have, plus the feelings that you share with Asher, would make Ingrid stronger, he explained. But would all of that overpower the hurt? There are a few times when I was happy. There were feelings that I had for Asher, but there is more pain. The pain from Asher cheating. My parents. I didn't even mourn. They've been gone for almost a month, and I cried for them twice. When I saw their bodies, to my agent extraordinaire, mythical, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Then went into a coma. When I found my locket, to my agent extraordinaire, mythical, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. But I never dealt with the fact that they are gone. You won't deal with it all alone. Gavin spoke softly. You have me, to my agent extraordinaire, mythical, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Ryan, Jordan, even Matthew. You have me too, Sean said, stepping forward. Gavin glared at him. You're not mated, he said with his eyes narrowed at my best friend. Sean sighed. We've known each other since forever. Stop being a jealous mate, Sean replied. Gavin rolled his glowing eyes. You have him too, he said grudgingly. They can all help you get through it. I can help too. Just tell Asher to let me in control. I have to go. Thank you, Gavin. To my agent extraordinaire, mythical, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Gavin nodded and closed his eyes. Asher's eyes opened and they were back to their blue-grey colour. I yawned and lost my balance. Sean quickly helped me stand straight. Let's go home. It's been a long night. I nodded and we walked to one of the cars. Chapter 25, Genevieve. Last night, we all got to the castle and fell asleep. I set up a guest room for Jacobs, so he crashed here. I woke up to the sound of my little brother. He screeched. I shushed him. I'm trying to sleep. Matthew jumped on my bed and shook me. But when the sun is out, we are supposed to be awake. And the sun is out right now, he said in a whiny voice. Go away. I grumbled and pulled the blanket over my head. I felt him jump off the bed. Then the door closed. I buried my face deeper into my pillow as the door opened again. Really, Eve? Asher snapped. I threw my pillow towards the sound of his voice. Go away. You have to apologize to Matthew when you decide to get off your lazy ass. Asher demanded before walking out and slamming the door behind him. I groaned and closed my eyes again. I looked around the forest that surrounded me. I spotted movement in the bushes, so I went in that direction. I came to a clearing. There were 2 people standing before me, holding hands. Mom, Dad. They slowly turned around and smiled at me. I ran to them and wrapped my arms around their waists. I thought you guys were. I trailed off. Mom frowned and nodded her head. We are dead. Sweet pea, she said softly. How can I see you? Am I dead? Did I die? I asked frantically. Dad shook his head. You aren't dead. Genevieve, you're just dreaming. The moon goddess let us see you. But we have to go now. I shook my head. Please don't go. I begged. I need you guys. Please stay here. Or take me with you. You can't go with them. Genevieve, a girl said from behind me. I turned around to face her. She looked my age, give or take a couple of years. She had long blonde hair that was glowing. It made her baby blue eyes stand out. She had a long white dress that was flowing with the wind. She was stunning. Genevieve, my father said, this is Ceylete, your guardian angel. I have a guardian angel? I questioned. Mom nodded. I had one too. Every queen before us did. Dad sighed. We have to go. Mom nodded and they held hands again. We love you, Dad whispered. No, I shouted as they started floating and fading in the air. Bring them back. I begged Ceylete. Take me to them. Ceylete shook her head. You have to go back home. I don't want to. I want to stay here with my parents. The only way to be with them is if you die. Ceylete said. And it's not your time yet. Tears started to stream down my face. But it was their time to die. When I needed my parents the most, they died. I know. Genevieve, I've seen everything. You can't go with them. You have to go home. You have to turn on your emotions. You have to rule the werewolves, she declared. I don't have to do any of that. I argued. Ceylete sighed. Yes, you do. It is your destiny. I can guide you on the right path. What's the right path? I questioned. The path that is set up for you, Ceylete answered. So will I see you in my dreams? Ceylete shook her head. The moon goddess is sending me down to earth. I will be a werewolf. Why is she going through all this trouble just for me? I questioned. She gave me a message and told me to pass it along to you. It's supposed to be the answer to why all of this is happening, but it makes no sense. It's like a riddle of some sort, Ceylete explained. Your ominous upbringing has restored composure. He imbalances life drastically. What? Completely confused. Who is he? Ceylete shrugged. It makes no sense. Whatever, I grunted. So what am I supposed to do when I get back? That is up to you. I only led you to your choices. You decide what to do, but I have a destiny. Don't I need to make the right choices to be on the right path? There is a different path for every choice. The path will lead to more paths, until you get to your destination. I groaned. This is so confusing. Sailor A laughed at me. That is why the goddess is sending me with you. I won't be Sailor A though. I mean, I'll still look the same, and I'll remember all of this, but my name won't be Sailor A. Why not? Let's just say that someone might recognize my name, so I'll be using my middle name. I'll be Hopesmith. All of this is giving me a headache, I exclaimed. Well, you don't have to worry about it anymore. It's time to go back. She started fading away. How do I find you? I questioned before she disappeared. I'll find you. I woke up for the second time. I rolled off my bed and went into my bathroom. I took a quick shower, then changed. I grabbed a pen and a paper and messily scribbled down the message that Hope gave me. Lazily, I walked out my room. Hey Eve. Sean greeted me as I plopped down in the dining chair. I groaned and laid my head on the table. Good. You're awake, Asher said from behind me. Go talk to Matthew. No, I grunted. Asher pulled my hand out from under my head. My forehead almost hit the table and I growled at him. Go talk to Matthew, he demanded. I shook my head. You go talk to him. I want to Fanta and hot Cheetos. Damn it, Eve. Asher yelled. Go, I rolled my eyes and shook my head again now. He shouted in his alpha voice. Did you really just do that? Do what? Asher stuttered. I quickly got up, pushing the chair to the floor in the process. I shoved Asher, so he hit the wall with a loud thud. Don't you dare try to tell me what to do. You are in no position to yell at me. And you definitely never use your fucking alpha voice on me. I purposefully bumped his shoulder as I stomped away. I had Sean following me while I walked to my room. I sat on the bed, and he leaned against the wall. Well, that was interesting, Sean said. He used the damn alpha voice. I grumbled. He just wanted you to talk to Matthew, Sean replied. He's been crying all day. He said that you were mad at him. He'll get over it. I interrupted. Sean sighed and ran his hand down his face. He wasn't crying 'cause you told him to leave. He's been asking for your parents while you were with Jacobs. So, he saw you get taken. Evie blamed himself because he couldn't stop them. He felt like he disappointed your parents. Then you come back and tell him to get out of your room. Matthew thinks that you blame him, that it's his fault, Sean explained. All I could say was a small oh. Look, Eve. We've been friends forever, which is why I'm telling you this. Sean started. You need to turn back on your emotions. You have a whole species to rule. You're driving your mate crazy. You're pushing us all away. Eve, you Ray pushing Matthew away. He lost his parents, and now he's losing his sister. It's gonna hurt though, I said quietly as I played with the locket around my neck. Sean frowned. I know, but remember what Gavin said. We'll all be here for you. You have to turn on your emotions. Hope's words rang in my head. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Can you get Asher? Sean nodded, and a few minutes later, he walked back into the room with my mate Ash. I'm really sorry. Eve, Asher apologized. I never should have yelled or used the alpha voice. You're right. I'm in no position to do that. I keep messing up, and I am so sorry. Asher, I said softly. I won't, what? I'll do anything. Asher cut me off. I rolled my eyes. I want you to stop interrupting me. Then you can help trigger my emotions. Asher's eyes grew wide before he started grinning. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. You want to turn it back on? I nodded. You and Sean will trigger my emotions. But please try not to use the painful emotions, I said quietly. Asher and Sean nodded. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing enthusiasm. What emotion are we gonna try first? Sean asked. Happiness. Eve answered. Oh, it sounded more like a question. Sean nodded. I stocked the whole fridge with orange Fanta, and I filled the pantry with hot Cheetos. Seriously, you think soda and chips will trigger her emotions? I raised an eyebrow at him. In my defense, it's her favorite soda and her favorite chips, Sean replied. I rolled my eyes. Junk food isn't gonna turn on her emotions, she said. Happiness. Junk food makes her happy, he defended. He spoke before I could argue with Sean. Let's just use a different emotion. Love, Sean said while wiggling his eyebrows at us. I tried that last night. I huffed. It didn't exactly work. I'd rather not hear about how I fucked up. Sean chuckled. Course she doesn't love you. I growled at him, making him laugh more. I was talking about the love she has for Matthew. That's what got her out the coma. It should work now, Sean explained. Okay then. Let's talk about my little brother, Eve said while leaning against the headboard of her bed. I thought back to the day that she woke up. I remembered everything that Isaac said to her. Matthew will need you when he grows up. You're the only immediate family that he has. You will have to raise him and tell him stories about your parents. Have Doc with him, Sean added. I started naming off random things that parents do. He'll need you with him for his first shift. He'll go to you when he meets his mate and needs advice. He will grow up with you as his mother figure. He needs you. But not like this, Sean said, taking over the conversation. He needs his sister, the happy one. The girl who laughs at our stupid jokes, who will get mad, but still love him. The girl capable of love, he said softly. Eve closed her eyes, then opened them. Her blue-grey orbs were no longer blank. People say that the eyes are the gateway to a person's soul and feelings. Eve's eyes were filled with sadness and pain, but within all the hurt was love. Don't let the story end. Subscribe to continue our Wolfpack legend.